an outcast, and I hung out with like the bad kids, and doing things to get attention because I stuttered, so I couldn't really communicate. So I was doing, shenanigans or BS or whatever it was. But I remember doing things, and I'm just like, I can't believe I did that stuff. But I was like a really, dumb kid, And after that, and I used to curse out the teachers. And I used to always be going to therapy, and I'd had speech therapy and behavior therapy, and wanted to put me on Ritalin. They wouldn't let me put me. My dad didn't believe in Ritalin, so he wouldn't, So eventually, in 8th grade, I got sent away to school, and I got sent away to Providence, Rhode Island, which is a regular Hebrew day school, and I had a cousin there, and they accepted me, and I did fairly well. Compared to what I've been doing, I did well. And then for high school, I got sent away to yeshiva in Rochester, which was kind of a choice of mine, because my father, said, if you want, you can go to school in New York. He sent me to a modern Orthodox high school, or you can go away. And I'm like thinking, I'll go away. This is awesome. You get to live in a dorm, whatever. It's going to be. It was a culture shock. It's a culture shock coming from an environment where you're watching TV on Shabbos and you're going to co-ed school and co-ed camp to like Black Hat. It's a completely flipped. And although it's a little more modern for yeshiva, the Rochester yeshiva, to me it was a complete what do you mean your parents don't let you talk to girls? I didn't know any of these subtleties of Orthodoxy. I thought, I didn't know there was anything between modern Orthodox and Hasidic. I thought, if you go to a Frum place, obviously they're all going to be dancing around, playing the fiddle, and payas are going to be flying. That's what I thought it was going to be. I had no idea what I was in for. So, and a lot of my writing comes from that experience. Being really flung into this place where we were hiding our porn in our cereal boxes and freezers.
Where were you in the social pecking order in high school?
English. In terms of, what's the social pecking order? That's such a...
Were you cool? Were you with the cool?
Yeah, I was a pretty cool kid. No, I was like that guy who got along with everyone. And my stuttering problem stopped, and I was kind of developed into this, I can shoot the shit with anyone, and but I can also spend a lot of time by myself, and I enjoyed my own company. And I started reading a lot, and I started really developing who I am, I guess, because just I hated the mistreatment of the weird kids and the nerdy kids, because I was mistreated. So I always got along with these kids that were kind of outcasty. There was this kid who was clearly gay in high school. He's actually open and out of the closet now, but I always was friendly with him, and everyone always called him a fag and whatever. And which was funny because one time he's like, "Well, what if I am?" So, and the rabbis liked me fairly. It's kind of I had longish hair and I always dressed very schlumpy. I was I was into skating and biking and Mountain Dew inspired sports but I was definitely in the middle. I wasn't coolest dude in the world, but I wasn't disliked by anyone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So...
And if I'm too long-winded, cut me off, because I can keep, I can go.
Fine. Great. Goals. When did you become interested in goals?
Goals.
Goals.
Oh, girls. Oh, yeah, I become interested in girls when I was probably 10, 11. That's probably when I became interested in girls.
And how did that go? Did you start talking
Not
to
well.
them?
I didn't get any. The first time I got any, I was 14, but it wasn't really anything. I made out with a girl when I was 14, and I didn't get any from the ages of 14 to 19. Nothing.
Whoa. Nothing
whatsoever. If I would go home and talk to a girl, it's a big deal. In yeshiva, when you talk to a girl, it's almost like getting something.
Yeah.
It wasn't it was definitely. I almost got some many times, but I was such a dumbass. I didn't know how to. I didn't have any game. Now I might even not have any game either. But definitely, I always talk about if I would know what I know now and go back. And, that would be interesting.
So did you meet girls when you were 14 to 19, and how would they react to you?
I met girls, but I was not I was a really outspoken guy, and I was really blunt. And I would say whatever's on my mind. And that's not something you say to 15-year-old girls. Hey, I think you're really hot. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, I'll buy you an iced tea or whatever we did back then. I don't know. But, girls thought I was cool. Because I was really good at, rollerblading. I was really good at mountain biking. I was a really good skier. I was doing stuff that, Frum kids really didn't do. Frum kids aren't into, this kind of stuff. They play basketball. They play football. I was always, I always had this kind of, wealth of useless information. that some people find attracting, or attractive. And I always prided myself on being able to like really like be a chameleon, like fit in a lot of groups. So I can definitely, and you know, I hung out with girls sometimes, but I never like really, you know, could get any.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not really a skill of mine.
So you didn't get a girlfriend until you were 19?
19. I mean, my first girlfriend was done when I was 14, but it wasn't really a good situation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was stupid and silly, and we didn't know what we were doing. And when I was 19, yeah, actually, that girl's brother came to my show last night. Here, he's working here. It's kind of cool. And she actually comes to my show. She'll come to my shows, which is kind of cool. So.
What year did you graduate from high school?
2000.
And then you went to college?
I went to college.
Where did you go?
I went to Monroe Community College in Rochester. I actually stayed in Rochester for many years.
Monroe?
Monroe, it's Monroe County, so it's like I went to community college. I didn't graduate high school. I was missing like 2 credits. And ironically, it was Hebrew, and I can speak Hebrew pretty well. So, but I guess the state of New York at that time, if you completed 24 credits in good standing in college, they would give you a high school diploma. So I did that, and I went to community college, and then I took 6 months. I went to Israel. Every time I felt restless, I'd hop in my car and drive to Montana and go backpacking. I really got into like road tripping and hiking and all this tree hugging type of activities, and really like extreme wanderer. You know, I've driven everywhere you can drive in North America besides Labrador and Newfoundland, and so I went there for a couple years. Got my associate's degree. Then I went to State University at Brockport, which is kind of middle of nowhere. It's between Rochester and Buffalo.
How do you spell?
Brockport.
Okay.
And the only famous people to come out of Brockport were a guy named James Kunstler, who wrote.
Yes.
You know who he is?
Wait, I'm getting confused.
He wrote the Geography of Nowhere, which is kind of like like a Jane Jacobs kind of anti-suburban sprawl type of like urban planning, that sort of stuff. And the guy who invented the McCormick wheat thresher, which is something that revolutionized farming. You can read about it. There's a lot of material on that. No Jews in my school.
You majored in what?
Political science.
How did you like going to school with no ghouls?
With girls?
No, I meant no Jews. I'm really confused.
No Jews?
Yeah.
It was great. I didn't like Jews much. I mean, I was always trying to get away from Jewish community. That's why I lived in Rochester, not New York. There probably were a lot of Jews, and I didn't even realize, if there were. I mean, I didn't wear a yarmulke. I wore a hat. So my last semester I started wearing a yarmulke, and that was to get girls, by the way. Someone told me.
How did wearing a yarmulke help?
Well, someone told me like if you wear a yarmulke, maybe they'll be more interested. It might be more more intriguing. It definitely got some interesting things because I had this one professor that was very, very, very left wing. I mean, I had a few I was in college, and at the time I was actually pretty right wing, which is kind of. I was still in the yeshiva environment, still hanging out with the same people, so I didn't develop my own like real opinions and views until I really got out into the world. I don't think, but. Where was I going? Oh, wearing a yarmulke might be intriguing, but it definitely, the confrontation with professors was interesting because every time they'd start to go on like a really anti-Israel kind of thing, they would just stop and they'd look at me and they'd be like, "Okay, and now we're gonna a few times it happens where they just cut it off and they just stopped, and I was like, wow, this is the power of the yarmulke,
Yeah.
Very cool.
And how did you notice girls responding to it?
No response. No response whatsoever. I mean, I wasn't really friends. This guy's falling asleep. Or you're laughing. Okay. I wasn't, this is such an interesting interview. I love it. I wasn't, I don't know. There was definitely no response. I wasn't like, I wasn't friends with that many people in college. Like, I couldn't, at this time I realized that I was like not interested in traditional college kids. I should have went to school in like Boulder, Colorado. That's where I would have fit in. Those were or Berkeley, not from even a political perspective, more of the like, I was interested in going to used bookstores, and I wanted to see live jazz, and I wanted to go and, hike, and I wanted to go to flea markets, and I wanted to go look at Art Deco architecture. And my peers were like, dude, we're going to get drunk and watch the game, and like, go shop at Abercrombie, and it's complete disconnect. So I didn't even want to have anything to do with these people. I went to like a jock school. My school's known for coaching and floor hockey or something like that. It wasn't like it wasn't a culturally, you know, a cultural kind of